Hello, this is Kathleen from the World Economic Federation. Today we will be continuing our series on education reform with a video on accreditation and the role it plays in education and society. Accreditation in education happens at two levels: the accreditation of the institution and the accreditation of the student who will act on the accreditation professionally after they leave that school and begin their career. Both of these systems are broken, making the very idea of accreditation, as it is applied today, useless. Let's start with the accreditation of an educational institution to demonstrate how it is broken, before giving an example of how pointless accreditation is today, existing more as a political prop than an educational standard of any merit. Starting with the K-12 institutions we have already discussed, the removal of practical courses from the curriculum leads to students well acclimated to office drone work, but poorly prepared for life. A long time ago, in a previous generation, you could graduate with your high school diploma, get a living wage job, settle down, and have a family. This is because the society that built the education system knew what it needed to thrive, and made a point to have their education system reflect those values. They recognize that education, while going to the student, is actually an investment in the future of civilization. Today, our education system does not seek to give students the means to thrive in society. They are given the skills that employers want, and no more. That is not an education system designed to create an informed citizen. It is an education system that seeks to create a highly specialized laborer who lacks practical skills and adequate resources that would give them the ability to turn down a bad offer from a potential employer. If you graduate today from high school, you do not gain access to living wage paying jobs. You get access to low paying jobs that don't require an arbitrarily advanced degree. But for how little you have to show for it, as long as you had a public education, at least you did not pay an obscene amount of money to get it. But that school was accredited. If it was not accredited to certify that you now have a functional level of knowledge for society, what does accreditation mean? That student has now spent at least 13 years in school, taken how many courses and tests, and for all of that activity in their lives, what does the student have to show for it? This is when someone from an older generation says, "The high school system is just to teach you the basics. You are still supposed to get a university degree." In our view, this is revisionist history. Documented history shows otherwise. That statement is nothing more than moving the goalpost to obscure how much our education system has failed. It used to be that you only needed a university degree to go into specialized fields that needed additional training. Now, K-12, from an employment standpoint, is little better than glorified daycare for what the student gets out of it. I want to make very clear, this is not throwing shade at the teachers. This is specifically addressing the pedagogical malpractice teachers are forced to do by the politicians that set educational policy to the advantage of employers, not to the advantage of the students. Book bans are just the latest attack on education, but they are not the first. Most teachers are capable, dedicated individuals who must suffer constant political interference attempting to prevent them from doing their jobs, from funding cuts, huge classroom sizes, book bannings, and other forms of political sabotage of our state-funded education system to drive profit to private educational systems via vouchers and to college-level institutions. These universities are now, more than ever, dependent on corporate support and fundraising to keep their doors open. They are more than happy to sell their diplomas to the young and ambitious who have taken on tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of dollars of debt to complete or finish their education. Just the word choice is telling. So much time is wasted in K-12 curriculum, but at least they did not saddle you with tens of thousands of dollars in debt for all of that sunk time. What is the point of an education that holds no value to the student other than to drive the revenue to the university? It's not like the master's degree even gets you a job that necessarily pays enough to cover the debt incurred acquiring it. It's not like these schools are giving rebates when their $100,000 education does not even qualify you for a job that you can live on, let alone live on and pay down the debt and prosper as the Boomer generation was able to. So now you have a generation of students who have been told their degrees would give them prosperity, and the job listings still demand the degree but do not pay enough to pay off that degree. And when they finally do get a job that matches the degree in the field they love, they feel so grateful to work in the field at all that they scrape by until they cannot, and then they are replaced. If the degrees do not get you jobs worth more than their cost, why does it make it better just because the debt has a low interest rate made possible by what is, in my opinion, an unconstitutional exception to the right to declare bankruptcy? It is often said that you cannot sign away a constitutional right, and yet our education system takes a bunch of 18 to 22-year-old kids and tells them the only way they will ever make something of themselves is if they take on the debt and get the degree. Why is there not more done about this? Probably because the exploitation is highly profitable, to be able to give a guaranteed return, and the students, being young and without means, are hardly in a position to challenge society's demands. This means that rather than their parents' generation setting their children up for success, the older generations are having their grandchildren pay for their retirement in both tax revenue and debt burdens. In time, if education continues on that track, you will likely see an acceleration of employers attempting to use employer-funded education to create a debt between them and their employees, to closer reflect the indentured servitude for whose return they clearly yearn, along with child labor, of course. The objective of the Federation is to create an equitable economy, and you cannot have equity when a person is viewed as little more than an asset to be controlled towards corporate profits. Older generations, did you raise your children and tell them that someday they can look forward to tens or hundreds of thousands in debt, forcing them to become office drones to corporations that use poverty and desperation on the part of their employees to maximize profits? Or did you tell them that if they got the degree would lead to a job that would lead to the ability to pay the bills? Do you think that you would have wanted to have kids if you felt like the best you could offer them was the former proposition? If you think that the first pitch sounded unappealing, why do so many consider the generations suffering under the consequences of corporate and economic malfeasance childish or irresponsible for making the choice not to have children? Education, something that used to be a tool of liberation and prosperity, has been twisted by the corrupt and incompetent leaders in our government into a tool of control and economic repression. This is why the Federation, as it develops, should also integrate its own accreditation process to its schools and jobs, ensuring that people are both qualified and competent with the responsibilities with which they are entrusted by the Federation community. The accreditation is not one of filling in bubbles on standardized tests, but of having adequate facilities and programs to meet the needs of the modern student. It is an accreditation process that ensures that every student is capable of an entry-level Federation job if they choose to apply. It is an accreditation process that ensures that some political hack does not sabotage the school system to make a statement. Most importantly, the accreditation process is only extended to schools that meet Federation standards and do not saddle students with debt. You are always told that you get the best deal you can negotiate, but if you cannot walk away from the negotiation table because you are saddled with debt, you will never be able to effectively negotiate with a potential employer, even the Federation itself. This is why the UBI program is so important, and this is why the Federation Education Series has been the first to run this long. Both of these Federation programs have a direct connection to the economic freedoms that the Federation seeks to create for its membership. Monetary policy is the means of financing, but it is not the end result. Your having the freedom to walk away from those who do not recognize your worth, as well as the opportunity to build a climate solution, is the desired outcome of the Federation. Next time, we will continue talking about Federation accreditation and how it could benefit both students and the societies they are preparing to join. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to find out more and to share our vision with others. At the Federation, we want to make sure that, like capitalism, education pays for all of us.